Good morning and welcome to round 2 of our startup trade show Blitz Competition. My name is Cynthia Lin. I'm a second-year student at Sloan and the organizer for this event. For those of you who are just joining us, the trade show Blitz Competition is something where we feature, this year's trade show, we're featuring 11 startup companies with innovative technologies affecting the sports industry. We've got the booths set up outside, and in this session you will hear from 6 companies in the post-revenue track, and they will have about 8 minutes exactly to run through their presentations and then get questions from judges. So it'll be 5 minutes presentation plus 3 minutes from judges, and they will just cycle through and pass off the mic as we go. First, I'd like to introduce our judges. We have Bill Gurley in the center here, a general partner at Benchmark. We've got Jake Heller on the left, principal at Spectrum Equity, and Christina Chase, entrepreneur in residence from the MIT Trust Center. All right, you guys ready? Yeah? Maybe? Well, here we roll. I'd like to welcome up our very first company.
Hi, my name is Ian Blosh, and I'm representing Alces Technology with my colleague Matt Leone, who's outside at the booth. In the next 5 minutes, I'd just like to introduce you to Alces and invite you to come visit us. Alces started about 3 years ago with a sort of an aggressive goal of building the world's smallest 3D capture device. I'd like to say that within that last 3 years, we've had 25 issued patents, and our funding has come from one of the world's leading mobile handset manufacturer. Alces is located in Jackson, Wyoming. Probably the only company that's ever going to be here from Wyoming. It is a hotbed of sports innovation when you start looking at companies in the region like Scott, Smith, Teton Gravity Research, so it's actually a really compelling community to be in for sports innovation. What our goal has been is to take this camera technology and apply it to sports. And our target market is really the aspirational, and I would say the millions of aspirational athletes that are out there that will probably never make the pro ranks, but still spend a significant amount of their time, money, and energy honing their craft. And with these individuals, we want to engage with them by providing them with the right tools to actually improve their technique. And so what I'd like to do is just start with a couple examples to show you the power of our technology. So on the left here, we've got Max, who's doing a jump shot with the current 2D technology. So he takes a video, he stops it, he goes in and applies what we call the Etch-a-Sketch type of tool, where you draw a line. So here we can see that Max's arm is straight, his elbow is almost above his eyes, his fingers are going down into the basket, so it looks like a pretty good jump shot. And then we tell Max, take a look at our point cloud. Now, point cloud is not something to look at, but we do want to tell you it's 330,000 points captured over the person's body. And it's meant to be seen by the computer, not the individual. So Max goes, hey, that's kind of cool, but my jump shot looks pretty good. I just want to continue. And say, well, take a second, Max, and let's rotate your view. So with our post capture, we took one capture, and we're able to now rotate him and see him from both sides. Now Max goes, wait a second, my arm's bent. And we go, yep. It was actually bent by about 5 centimeters. So on your follow-through, instead of being straight, you were actually off at an angle. So Max, a picture's worth 1,000 words, but let's make sure those are the right words before you start going on with your training. Max says, yeah, I'm a gym rat, I just want to shoot. We say, great, go out and do 120 shots. Behind the scenes, we're capturing all that data, and when you're done, we'll provide you with all the data and analytics as to the key aspects of your shot. So what are we starting to do here? Well, now Max is able to go the next time to the gym, download from the cloud. Hey, my last time I was out here, these were the 5 variables that were sort of significant to my shot, and I was failing on 2 of them. Now I can go out and actually exercise and focus on those specific aspects of the shot. So what have we created here? By moving from 2D to 3D, we've, one, been able to take a post-capture where you're getting 2 views. Second, we're able to combine hundreds of shots or thousands of shots and overlay them to get quality data and analytics that are meaningful to Max and personalizing his training program. And 3, we're creating a virtual coach. So he may never have a real-time coach, but now we've got the data analytics and we could have online supervised services to help Max with his shooting. How do we do this? Well, we basically did this by building out a MEMS architecture and combining it with software. So for those of you that are technologists and those that aren't, we're 2 engineers sitting out at the booth. We guarantee you that we can wow you and bore you at the same time with the quality of our technology. But what we want to focus in on is the best products when we built our company that we looked at were companies like Tesla and Apple, where they own their own hardware and software. And we focus a lot of our attention on owning both areas. Because if you're going to build a quality product, you really need to know how to integrate and be able to change each successive generation, both on the integration of the hardware and the software. From the monetization, we also like the fact that we can sell the hardware, but it's far more interesting once we get into the cloud. So now let's say Max decides he wants to go do CrossFit. We now go sell a prosumer device to CrossFit. And so we sell to 1,000 gyms. They have 100 athletes. We capture now 100,000 point clouds that we now store in the cloud that we can start looking at and getting real-time analytics over 100,000 bodies that then we can start monetizing to the Nikes and to the Adidases and to the New Balances as they create their equipment. Finally, just want to finish on the, really what we saw was a problem here in New England about a month ago, and showing you that with our depth capture system, we're picking up resolutions down to 200 microns. So it's 1/5 of a millimeter. So we saw that you guys had problems here, and so this is just more of a market research as to whether or not it would be a big market to be able to show inflations of footballs. Yeah, it's the best we got. We're engineers, guys. That's it.
So you're in revenue today. Who are you selling to? How much are you charging them? How does that work?
We're in the revenue track, but we're only selling development systems basically to major consumer electronics companies right now.
And so what is your long-term revenue model plan?
Our long-term revenue model plan has been selling component hardware to some of the consumer electronics for their firms. We're being looked at for multiple types of equipment, but our goal that we want to build is actually a sports capture camera that we can sell out like a GoPro, but with the inclusion of depth. That we then take it actually into the cloud and are able to do continuous analytics.
For people to do on their own?
Exactly. Exactly. So the model that we've been focusing in on is going to the running store, going to the CrossFit gyms, selling a prosumer device that they can then mount up, and then their athletes come through. So a running store comes in, puts it up. They have 1,000 customers come through. You're getting their gait and their performance, and then all that analytics can then be sold back to the New Balances and the Nikes of the world. Also, if an individual wants to buy it because their price point will be down by a GoPro, they can go buy it and set it up in the gym themselves. But our target market is to start going after the gyms and then using that as a word of mouth to get out faster.
So it's actually a B2B sell, not a B2C sell?
We're starting with B2B.
Okay. So what type of setup does one have to have? Like how much space and what's the type of complexity of setup for this, and like how much would it cost for somebody then to come in and do something like this?
Yeah. It's a good question. We would say a tripod in our camera system and 6 feet. And then you would set it up, and then you would do your motion in front. We'd be building mounts for treadmills and the rest, depending on what the exact application is. Because you could be doing this for swim stroke analysis, running analysis.
So what if the angle's off? So say you've got a setup and you've got different heights of individuals, so now you're analyzing at different angles? Like, how does that work with how the data is going to be coming through?
Right. So we do the algorithm behind the scenes, so we know our reference frame, and we'll have a field of view. And it doesn't really matter the height of the individual. We're getting 330,000 pixels. We could actually get more because we scale. But then we pull each one of those in. We know our own reference frame, so it really is independent of the height of the individual. We can calculate it in our scanner.
What does it cost for a CrossFit gym or a running store to, pardon the pun, get up and running on this?
It's basically our cost of goods right now that we're targeting is about $150. We're building this on a MEMS architecture with optics. So we've been, as a good example, we've been building this for a mobile handset customer. So the model that I showed you of the 3x5x8, that's being built for mobile pricing. Then we add in a camera and an ASIC, and we're basically good to go.
I want you to answer this question even though you will not want to. If you could only do one sport, what would it be?
If I could only do one sport, I would do CrossFit.
Okay, cool, thank you.
Super aggressive, willing to spend a lot of money.
Okay, awesome. I think we're done.
Thanks.
Yeah.
That's it.
Thank you.
Take this, you can take that. Thank you.
I'm Matt Papson, and this is Stephen Wendell. And in 2012, we left our positions with the Philadelphia Eagles to build Reality Sports Online, a company turning fantasy dreams into reality. There are more than 35 million people playing fantasy sports, and over the last several years, the fantasy aptitude across the marketplace has increased dramatically, as evidenced by all of the fantasy-related content and analytics. But the games that consumers are forced to play haven't evolved with the aptitude of the consumer. And so to meet the unmet demand for a more engaging and realistic fantasy platform, Reality Sports Online created our front office platform, which allows owners to build and manage their fantasy team like a real general manager. Many of the attendees of this conference are aspiring general managers, and they're forced to get their GM fix through fantasy. But taking turns picking players isn't what it's like to be a general manager. Today's large platforms all offer very similar versions of the same game, the same games that they've offered for 20 years. And while daily games have created a great way for people to get an instant fantasy fix, the core fantasy consumer, the one who wants to recreate the feeling of running a professional franchise, has been largely ignored. With that, we introduce our fantasy front office platform, which allows owners to build and manage their team like a general manager through realistic features like a rookie draft with slotted contracts, free agency, a salary cap management tools, a franchise tag, injured reserve, and more. But our greatest innovation is our free agency auction room, which mimics NFL free agency and allows up to 32 real people to compete with each other to sign players to single or multi-year contracts live online in real time. We're going to show a quick clip of the platform in action now.
Online. I'm about to show you a sneak peek of the most powerful fantasy sports platform ever created, where owners get to build and manage their fantasy team like an NFL general manager. Before we get into the action, let me introduce you to my league. I'm the commish, then there's Brew Crew, Monty Python, Pappy, The Druth, All the Marbles, Matty Ice, and Jerry Bryce. The platform supports up to 32 teams, but we roll with 8. We start with a rookie draft. I set up my league to have 2 rounds with 4-year rookie contracts, but those settings are customizable by league. I contemplated taking RG3 or Andrew Luck with the first overall pick, but I wanted to sign a veteran QB in free agency, so I drafted Doug Martin. The rookie contracts are slotted like the NFL, so I got the muscle hamster locked up for just under $6 million per year, a great building block for my franchise heading into free agency. The free agency auction room is really what sets Reality Sports Online apart from the competition. It mimics NFL free agency, enabling fantasy owners to compete against one another to negotiate with and sign the NFL's top talent to single or multi-year contracts. It gives our league the chance to match wits and prove who is the best GM. Negotiations begin when an owner makes a minimum opening offer to a player. The other owners are immediately presented with offers that the player values more than the current offer. Owners can submit an offer by clicking any one of the 4 gold offer buttons. The player fields offers instantaneously, and each time a new offer comes in, the buttons update and progress to the next set of more valuable contract offers. An algorithm acts as the player's agent, valuing offers based on the same factors used in real life: total amount, per year average salary, total guarantee, and contract length. When no new offers are made, the player signs the current offer. I just signed Ray Rice to a 3-year, 51.
So obviously the video is 2 years old and we need to update the players, but it's a good example of how it works. So the platform has won an award and has received great reviews from both experts and the press. But most of the people at this conference, who are a strong representation of our target demographic, have never heard of Reality Sports Online. And in 2015, we're planning to change that as we launch our first real customer acquisition campaign. The NFL version has been live since 2013, and over the next 2 years, we're going to build out the rest of the Big 4 sports. In 2018, we'd like to build a Champions League version of the game, and then in 2019 and beyond, there's no limit to the number of international front office platforms that we can create. We're live now, and you can create a league today. The platform costs $9.99 per team to use, but you can test the free agency software for free. please stop by the booth for a live demonstration. I'd be happy to answer any questions. Thanks for the opportunity to be here.
How many live customers do you have?
So last year we had a little over 3,000 paying customers and 5,500 registered users. This year, which will be our first real customer acquisition campaign, we're projecting between 20 and 35,000 users.
And what percentage of the fantasy 35 million do you think have an aptitude to play at this more elevated level?
So that's the first question we always get. And we've automated the software so much that it's easy that anybody could do it. Anybody who plays a normal redraft platform would be able to do it. Now, this isn't for everybody, but there is a large portion. We estimate that today it's about a third of the total fantasy market, so somewhere between 11 and 13 million people. But we expect our target demographic to grow within the overall industry faster than the total industry.
And this is full season?
It is. So believe it or not, our customer engagement from March to September is higher than it is from September to February during the season.
Is it a monthly or annual subscription?
It's annual, so you pay for your team for the year, and then each year you expect people to come back year after year, because in the first year you're signing players to multi-year contracts.
What's your retention rate?
I'm sorry?
What's your retention rate?
So this past year, it was 82%. This coming year, we're actually expecting it to be over 90%. So we just opened for 2015, but we hadn't announced it yet because we're waiting for the NFL to announce the salary cap. But we've already had several people sign up without us even telling them. So.
I don't understand FanDuel all that well, but are there legal gambling opportunities here, and can those tie into your business model?
So today we only charge a platform service fee, and we don't touch the entry fees. But we could hold entry fees as long as there's a UGA carve out that says fantasy is a game of skill. So yes, we could offer cash leagues.
So you've been live since 2013.
Yes.
And you've had 3,000 users.
Yep.
Okay. How are you going to change that?
So
why do you think more people aren't using it?
So the past 2 years, we spent a little less than $15,000 in customer acquisition, which is virtually nothing, right, while we perfect the platform. This year, we're going to significantly increase our marketing budget. We really think we have an opportunity to become kind of the platform of the experts, and they control most of the fantasy audience. So we're building a lot of experts leagues, and they build content around the game. The game offers for some really rich content opportunities because of the salaries and all the other factors.
We're out of time. Quick question. What is the cost of customer acquisition?
It's been $8.75 to date, and the lifetime value of a customer is a little over $40, but that's really just the 4-year value. Yep. In theory, the game is meant to be played in perpetuity, yep. So it would be well over $100.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Hi, so I'm Stephen Smith, the co-founder of Kitman Labs, and we are a team of athletic trainers, sports scientists, and software engineers that are changing athlete management forever. Through the use of predictive analytics to reduce injuries and optimize performance, we are changing the way teams manage their athletes. So we all know that the cost of injuries in professional sports is absolutely staggering. We know that Major League Baseball lost over $1.13 billion last year in lost salaries. And all of these costs that are listed here, they only represent the lost salaries. We're not actually speaking about the true cost of injuries. We're not speaking about the medical costs. We're not speaking about the time spent by the practitioners on these athletes. We're not speaking about the lost revenue from gate receipts that are lost when star players aren't playing. We're not talking about the lost sponsorship opportunities. We're not talking about the trophies that they don't win. Like if we look back on the Ravens this year when they played the Patriots, they had 13 players on the injured reserve and they lost by 2 or 3 points. And the Patriots went on to win a Super Bowl. Could that have been the Ravens? We think it could have been. So we're helping this, and we're solving this problem through the creation of smart data. This smart data is empowering decision-making by unlocking this data for coaches in a way that they never had before. So right now in sports, coaches would spend hours and hours diving through spreadsheets and databases, trying to find the answers that they're looking for in this information. And by the time they find the answer, it's actually too late. We're giving them this information at the click of a button, and we're empowering these decisions in real time and allowing them to change the outcomes with these teams. So we're evolving technology in a very different way alongside some other great companies. Screening previously was done at the start of a season in physicals because we thought it was valuable, we thought there was really great information, but then the rest of the year we don't do it because we don't have the time and we can't use the information. We're revolutionizing that by the development of a markerless biomechanical analysis suite. Athletes walk up in front of this screen, it maps them skeletally, they move through the movement patterns in 30 to 40 seconds, we have a full biomechanical analysis on them. All that data is processed instantaneously, and then we can see the results in real time. This brings screening to the forefront in sports injury prevention, to a place that we've never had before, and at a fraction of the cost that it previously was. Medical information has been transformed from ugly spreadsheets like this that took hours to input this information and provided us no real value, only having records. We're adding layers of benefit on top of that by giving us insights into the teams, profiling that information, diving into that information and finding out how do we use that? What do we know about our teams? What do we know about our athletes? And how do we use that? We're adding another layer on top of that by adding real-time smart injury risk alerts that allow us to change our decision-making and micromanage each one of our individual athletes to do better things with them and to keep them healthy and to keep us on the field and winning trophies. Even the world of strength and conditioning and fitness has changed from ugly spreadsheets like this again that teams still use to write gym programs. They print them off, they bring them down to the gym, the athletes fill them out in pen and paper, and then they live in a drawer somewhere. We've changed that to, again, electronic programming that provides us with instant analysis of where these guys are strong, where they're weak, and again, how this information impacts injury, how it impacts performance. We're leveraging this information in a way that we previously couldn't. But we're not the only people out here, and we're very conscious of that. If you take a walk down along the conference in here, there's numerous different companies with incredible technologies that are driving this evolution in sports. But the big problem is, all of that information is isolated. So we have wearable information that lives over here. We have heart rate information that lives over here. We have fitness information. We have medical information. But none of those systems talk to each other. So how do we understand the true cause and effect? And the real answer, if sports teams are honest, is that they can't. They can't unless they throw that information into a different system. They spend hours and hours grooming that data and cleaning it and trying to get it to actually interact with each other. But we've done it. And we've created a centralized platform that allows these teams to consume any data source. They pull that in a matter of seconds, and we can analyze it for them. They don't need to spend those hours anymore. They don't need to sit behind a computer. They can get out there and work with the athletes and do their jobs, help the team to win. And we've brought that information together in a place that it can live alongside each other. Essentially, we believe that we've created the operating system for sports teams. All they now need to do is just add data. Thank you very much.
What do you charge sports teams for it?
So that's a very good question. Our average selling price at the moment is around $40,000 per year.
40,000?
40,000 for one team, yeah.
How many teams do you have today?
We have nearly 18 at the moment, but we have a very strong pipeline. So we moved to the States in September of last year, opened our first office in Silicon Valley, and we're just starting to actually build up our pipeline now and sell to a large number of teams.
Is the majority of the input today through this visual?
No, that's probably the smallest input.
So tell us more about how the data gets into
Okay, so different inputs come from different stakeholders in a professional environment. So we have fitness coaches enter information about training sessions and games or upload wearable devices and information like that. Our physiotherapists, athletic trainers, doctors input electronic medical record information for us. The athletes themselves do some of the screening that you would have seen and also some self-reporting. And then we can pull in any other data source that teams have alongside that also. Then you saw the gym programming, so all that information comes from all the gym and fitness sessions that they have. So the data knows no bounds in sports, as you've probably seen over the weekend here, and we just want to take it all.
Which teams have the most opportunity? Like, so you said 8 or 18?
18.
18.
1-8.
1-8.
Yeah.
Okay. Who are they? And how many individuals are using
our
it?
background is that I was a head trainer for a professional rugby team in Ireland. I worked there for almost 8 years, founded a company whilst I was working there, and then once we generated some revenue, I actually left and started to work in this full time. So our basis is in rugby in Europe, primarily rugby and soccer, and most of our clients here are actually Major League Baseball franchises. And that's purely because the timing of when we arrived was actually during the off-season, which is typically when teams actually buy, and now we're looking at starting to push out into professional basketball, football, and college sports, exactly, yeah.
What's the feedback been?
It's been shocked by most teams that actually there's a solution out here that has the depth of data that we can collect in a format that's easy and intuitive and actually just takes them away from having to sit in front of computers. It's been really positive so far.
And that's been from existing customers?
That's been from new customers as well, or prospects, even people that have seen this here. There's a number of professional teams that have been here all weekend, and so that's one of the most comprehensive pieces of software I've ever seen for a sports team.
Sounds good.
Good.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Carl Hamilton. I'm the CEO of High Trainer, and I'd like to introduce you to Brian Robinson, the Vice President, but also the inventor of our device. Brian?
Thank you, Carl. Thank you, panel. 65% of every game you watch on TV or at the stadium is played in the drive phase. The drive phase is that angle that you see right there, that angle where people run in for touchdowns, get to the puck first, steal second base, or run in a layup off a fast break. High Trainer is the first analytics tool that precisely measures data of athletes in the drive phase of a sprint. The High Trainer is a user-propelled sprinting surface with a variable electromagnetic resistance system. Its patented designs keep users in the drive phase and allows users to develop more speed, power, and explosiveness. We have sensors in the shoulder pads which measure the leg forces of individual legs on each side of the body and provide instantaneous feedback to the user through our proprietary software. So the High Trainer measures precisely peak speed, peak power, individual left-right leg forces while sprinting, time to peak, fatigue index, and distance. All of this in just 20-second sprint. So how can High Trainer analytics help teams win? The two major challenges to winning are, number one, keeping your best players on the field, and number two, making sure that you can increase or maintain performance over a long season. High Trainer keeps your best players on the field by being able to identify injuries before they occur. We know that if imbalances go unchecked, injuries will result. We know that 70% of injuries occur on the strong or the dominant side of the body, yet most therapists deal with only the trauma and are unable to have the analytics tools to be able to see the root cause of the problem. If the root cause of the problem is not found, then the injuries will recur or performance will diminish. High Trainer increases performance through strength and conditioning. Though the emphasis is usually put on strength, High Trainer feels that by repeating max power outputs is the key to winning. Games are won and lost in the fourth quarter, and in the fourth quarter, we want our players to perform their best. We've used our feedback from our partners in the NFL, NHL, NBA, and MLS to create specific training protocols for each sport. By doing this, we're able to offload the volume of ineffectual training. We're able to spare the athlete the dangers of needless repetitive impact. The days of running up and down the field for conditioning are over. We can better train athletes in less time and have more time for film analytics, for performance training, or for rehab. By being able to monitor training consistently in real time, we're able to increase speed and power performance. By being able to see your peak power output and compare that to your personal best in real time, or the personal best of your teammate, allows coaches and teams the ability to maximize time and the potential of their athletes. We know what the benefits are of running fast, but actually games are won by teams that play fast. High trainers are first to discover this and first to understand and to create training protocols where we max reaction time training with power output. And we have created protocols where we have we are able to train and measure reaction time with athletes in extreme fatigue states, exactly where the game is played. Carl, now the business end.
High-intensity interval training was considered the top trend in the fitness industry for the past 2 years, so it's going to definitely continue to influence the market, and because it's simply the most efficient method of training. So the evolving fitness enthusiast is craving for some precise data and also time-efficient conditioning, and that's where the high trainer becomes a perfect combination. In order to make this technology available to the masses, we've created a new line of products that will be released in June, a $6,000 unit that is to cover the markets such as group training, health clubs, high schools, colleges, military, and obviously the high-end residential. So as I said, the first production has already begun and will be delivering soon. So over the past few years, the high trainer has proven through numerous studies that the benefits are not only for the athletes, but also for clientele such as ADHD youth and populations with diseases such as COPD and Parkinson's, and even wounded warriors like Travis Mills. So this is only the beginning of how the high trainer technology is going to change the lives of millions in the future. Thank you, and I'd be glad to answer your questions.
So 6,000 to manufacture, 6,000 to sell.
6,000 to sell.
What does it cost to manufacture?
It's under $2,000.
Where do you do that?
We're in Quebec, but we're planning to have a plant in Burlington.
And so you listed a whole bunch of teams today that are using it. How many would a team use? How many would a team buy? What are they?
Again, we're going to have a line of products, so the model that we've been showing is still going to be in the market. That the Pro, which provides enormous quantities of information, you'll have one of those principally in the lab or the sports side. And you'll have on the training aspect, if we're looking at a college, you'll have the $6,000 model. You'll have 12 of them in the training room where they can do some, combine it to other types of trainings.
How many have you sold to date?
The Pro, we've sold 30, but more so we've gotten enormous quantity of feedback that we've integrated in the new line of products. And that's at the $17,000 mark.
Okay, so the Pro is $17,000
yeah.
and you've sold 30. The $6,000 market unit hasn't come.
It's coming out. Yeah, we've been working on it for the past year and a half, and it's released.
We have some pre-sales.
Yep.
Who have you pre-sold to?
Believe it or not, our first pre-sale was Our first pre-sale was to Sergeant Travis Mills, who's one of 5 quadruple amputees that I started working with the Navy SEALs in Dallas. And for him, it's the only way he's able to train. So right now, what we did is we gave him a Pro at $17,000 to use until the new models come out, and then as soon as we're ready, we'll switch it up to give him the availability of being able to train.
On the current customers, who's the most engaged? Like, which of your, just name one of them that is like
the most engaged in the Pro teams, obviously the Montreal Canadiens,
the Mavericks.
Dallas Mavericks as well.
And
got a couple.
The biggest reason is that, the biggest reason is that the Mark Cuban is in the training facility. So when I showed up there, he spent 10 minutes talking to me, asking me why we were doing it, why he should use it for his team, and when I explained the benefits, and when he started to see how I could work with Dirk Nowitzki, for instance, and completely change his therapy, within 8 minutes, he signed the check.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Skip Cronin. I'm the business director for Elite Form. And what we do at Elite Form is we leverage 3D motion capture and measure athletes working out in open space. So I can thank some of our previous panelists here for kind of explaining that a little bit for me. I can move on through. So essentially what we did at Elite Form when we started was we worked with the University of Nebraska in solving a pretty simple problem, which was how to better measure power and velocity in Olympic lifts and presses. And so at that point in time, cutting edge was literally a device that you attached a string to the end of a weightlifting bar called a Tendo unit, and it gave you immediate feedback. We moved beyond that, and we experimented with several different options, including wearables, but we found that motion capture works the best because it doesn't just solve one problem, it solves several. We're able to basically create an environment where you have a paperless facility. You can give real-time metrics and expand the type of protocols you're using with athletes, and effectively train athletes in a more effective fashion faster. So, let me back up. What you're going to see here is basically the athlete experience at the rack. So we have a database where we will push a workout to a rack. Is it going to play? I'm just going to describe it then since that's not playing. So effectively what happens, oh, here we go. An athlete will step to the rack. He's going to pull down his workout that a coach has prescribed to him. And for anything that we want to track, the motion capture is going to kick on, and we will effectively then see that person working out in open space. So why is it better? Because we see the full context of the lift. So what you have on the left is basically raw footage from a 3D camera. On the right, you have the athlete, and then we're giving real-time metrics back so we can train with protocols that are more about velocity and power, which we have good science to show that that actually transcends to the field much better than just, say, raw strength total tonnage. We'll give a little feedback afterwards if we have a coaching moment. We also have the video playback that we can do, standard video playback. And then from there, we just expanded out. Literally, we started with, say, tracking a squat, hand clean, and then we realized that we can do a lot more just by leveraging the data that we're collecting. So for a coach, they have a full database where they have a workout planner, they have profiles of all their athletes, and they have full reporting tools in terms of then what those actuals are coming back. From the athlete side, what we can do is now leverage protocols. So if you're in a college setting, you want to take a freshman and build them to a senior, you can look at those progressions over time. If you're in a professional setting, we start to worry about degradation, right? We want to keep players on the field. We want to protect our investment, and so you can use something like a jump squat protocol, lightweight, and then you can know that if you start to see somebody dipping below, say, 80% of their typical read, that now we may be at risk of a soft tissue injury, something like that. We can limit minutes. We can basically take a day off, et cetera. On the business side, oh, yeah, this is kind of key. So a few of our clients. We're pretty proud of our list. So we are now just starting our 4th year. We were profitable in our 3rd year, last year. And we were with some of the best people in sports science. So Duke basketball, Kansas, we're in every sport except football. We work with the Philadelphia Eagles. And when I say work with, they have a unit on every rack in their facility. This is not something that's a test rack. This is something that's a full commitment. To the point where the University of Oklahoma had Powerlift, who's kind of the key, or one of the major rack manufacturers in the country, custom make racks to integrate with our units for their facility. In terms of the business side, our revenue model, sorry, it's a little hard to read. I can see you leaning over. Basically, there are 3 numbers you need to know. There's a price for the hardware, there's a software package that comes with it, and then we have a reoccurring piece going forward. So the reoccurring essentially allows us to continue to innovate And we just literally leverage the, for our full package, it's $5,000 for the hardware, and that's going to be per unit. $12,000 for our best software package, and then our recurring is 10% of basically whatever you put in your room. So, and that, what we've done is basically we tried to have it not feel like we're nickel and diming you, right? So that includes hardware support, software support, and most importantly, that includes updates. So literally I came back from the NFL Combine, one of our clients sent me a white paper, and we're gonna look at implementing a testing protocol for them, and that all is wrapped up in that fee. So it saves us from charging one-offs and something like that, and we have a rising tide floats all boats philosophy. So if we end up hitting something cutting edge with one of our clients, and it seems to dovetail into what others want, now we basically make everybody better. In terms of where we're at, we focus college and professional in the US. We've had a lot of success in Australia right now. They seem to be sort of ahead of the States in a lot of ways in terms of metrics. And so we'll focus there and then move into Europe, probably 2016, something to that effect. We have a lot of, we have patents pending around our algorithms. That's really kind of the sweet sauce, right? The magic of what we do. And then, you know, from there, we're just progressing over time in terms of expanding into different markets, because we have high school clients all the way to professional. We're vetted. We run thousands of lifts through all of those levels. So it's just a matter really of manpower and how fast we can go. And then lastly, our system is validated. We're with Dr. Andy Fry at the University of Kansas. And what we'd like to do is we continue to add lifts and move beyond lifts into more open movements, continue to have that validation take place so people can feel confident that we are consistent and accurate with what we do. And so our roadmap, really I always talk about it as the golden metric, but basically, how can we give coaches, scientists, a nice, quick, single-page shot of what is happening with an athlete? And so if you think about bringing GPS data in, bringing our data in, HRV data, Omega Wave, you can give somebody a very actionable view of what's happening with an athlete, and then they can make the best training decisions for that athlete. And so that kind of expands into a lot of things. We're looking at moving beyond being inside of a facility and creating a portable unit. And then we're going to move from a business standpoint, we're internationally, as I alluded to before, and just continue to hit the markets that make sense for us. So, questions? Ran over.
Anything?
So, how many customers and teams?
We have almost 50 customers, and we have over 200 units in the field.
So, per team, how many individuals?
Pro teams?
Per customer. What's the average size?
Oh, well, so what's funny about that is average won't give you an accurate answer, and here's why. So it really depends on how many racks you have in your facility. So if you have a major college, they're going to have 16 to 20 racks. What may surprise some folks is that at a professional level, sometimes you just have 4 or 5 racks. It really depends on what the philosophy is of that given staff. So we kind of think of it as we sell the staffs, their philosophy and their environment. So if the average is actually like 8, which is kind of weird, but
what's your sweet spot?
I'm sorry?
What sport is your sweet spot, or what size?
We don't have one. We really don't have one. Olympic lifts and presses transcend most sports, so we don't have to worry about getting locked into a sport. I can pick one if you want to ask that same question like you did earlier, if you want, but really it really boils down to if you're doing Olympic lifts and presses and you want to train with velocity and power, or take velocity and power measurements that help you determine readiness with other protocols, then we're the best option. Because if we don't have it now, we can write another software algorithm and take care of it in a different way.
Which customer has the most athletes in it?
The most athletes?
Yeah.
That's a good question. I've never thought of it that way. It's probably going to be like the University of Kansas or someone. There's a few people like that. New Mexico State has 24 units, so they can run a lot of athletes through. We do a site license in terms of athlete count and coach count. And so the only reason I'm answering that way is that's the way the numbers tend to work.
You don't take responsibility for Texas and Oklahoma's football performance last year, do you?
We don't work with football.
Okay.
So we work with the Olympic staff, so
okay.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
Good morning, I'm Marcus Deutsch, and this is Tanya Porter. We're from Fusion Sport. For many organisations, their athlete data management is a fractured collection of Excel spreadsheets, specific software packages, pieces of paper, and memories. And when staff leave, that data is often lost.
SmarterBase offers the ability to bring all your data into one aggregate location, and then allows you to save time and improve your decision-making for now and into your future.
But we've heard all of this before. There's a number of companies out there offering off-the-shelf athlete management software packages, or unfortunately a lot of organisations have gone down the slow and expensive road of custom software development.
Whether it's online, offline, or through our mobile application, we can bring your data to life and have it spring into action through live reports, SMS alerts, mobile analysis, as well as our statistical analysis and advanced modeling.
But SmarterBase also takes care of those other important things that can take away your time and focus, like document management, SMS and email messaging, and a very powerful scheduling system for team and individual scheduling, all with iCalendar integration.
Our mobile application has been what's been really key for our athlete uptake. Our coaches report over 90% compliance with their athletes through use of the mobile application. This application is customizable and brandable and really is that one go-to space for the athlete uptake. We use a high level of security within the system through our administrative capabilities, as well as we're HIPAA and PETA compliance. We have the tools in place for that.
What really sets SmarterBase apart from the others is what we call a builder toolkit. While SmarterBase comes out of the box with a wide range of templates for collecting data and running reports, the builder toolkit allows our sports science staff and our clients to perform live web-based customization of their system without the need for knowing how to program software. The Builder Toolkit, you can see there, contains over 70 different question types, from basic things like text and numbers, through to things like body diagrams, videos, images, and then a wide range of calculations similar to what you'd find in Excel. Now, a lot of our competitors will say they can customize, but with SmarterBase, we're talking about truly deep level of customization without having any bespoke software development.
Data integration is at the heart of our business philosophy, and making sure that that data is available to you and for your advanced analytics is key. We can import any type of CSV data, and through our advanced web-based API, we can integrate with offline streaming of data as well as third-party technologies, the technologies we've heard talking today here. And then we can utilize those things like Training Peaks, GPS, and nutritional analysis all within the system.
SmarterBase comes with a wide range of reporting options, from dynamic color-coded homepage dashboards through to holistic athlete views. We have a range of data visualization modules. And then through our live data feeds, we can also go out to things like Excel. So SmarterBase gives coaches and managers the information they need whenever and wherever they need it.
Some of our competitors will profess that they've got that secret algorithm for injury prevention or optimizing the athlete. And I think many of you know that that has to be based upon your sport, your data, your coaching, your modalities, and will help you develop that equation for using in your future predictions.
So once we've got all the data coming in, we've got a variety of inbuilt analytics and statistical modeling tools in the system. And then through our API and live data feeds, we've also connected to a variety of the well-known BI platforms. And most recently, we've actually seamlessly now integrated the TIBCO Spotfire platform. So then our analytics team, when they need it, can go out and provide our clients with really advanced visualization and to build those specific models specific to their data to really attack those big questions.
SmarterBase really is an advanced technology, and we back it by our customer service and our team with over 120 years of sports performance development experience. We've also implemented the system with over 100 global organizations, from training centers to Olympic organizations and professional clubs.
Smartabase is truly changing the way these organisations are managing their athlete data. The combination of our experience, our ease of customisation and our customer service are what set us apart. Smartabase is a working model and demonstration of truly centralised athlete data management and analytics. Now, we're quietly confident that a lot of the people at this conference will come to use Smartabase in the future. The interesting thing now is to see who goes first and who follows behind. Thank you. Excuse my voice, by the way.
So you have 100 customers today, saw the logos. What's the revenue model? Is it a subscription? Is it
Revenue model is a combination of license fees and software as a service, basically. So if you're talking about, let's say, an average professional team, you're looking around $35,000 a year. But that can scale down. We work with some things like K-12 schools even. We can go down to sort of around the $15,000 a year mark.
What was the first number?
$35,000 a year.
Okay.
And then that actually tails down after a couple of years once they're sort of bedded in and set up properly. But then we're also working with some very large organisations like Institute Sport and Olympic committees. Those are well into the six-figure sort of sums.
Have you thought about pricing this was for a lot of these companies per athlete? Yeah. Is there a way to get more?
Yeah, so we consider that carefully. We don't charge for athletes.
No, I understand.
We charge for professionals, so we charge for the value that the organisations are getting out of the data, and also they're the ones who put the support load on our resources, not the athletes. So our revenue model in terms of licensing is based on professional users, not athletes.
I wasn't thinking about them, I was thinking about you.
No, we're doing fine. The more athletes, the better, because the more data that's coming in, the better the system works.
Who's your most prototypical customer? Like which customer is most engaged, most athletes in? You know?
Look, our biggest customers would be customers like the Australian Institute of Sport, one of the leading organisations on the planet in sports science. The Scottish Institute of Sport. We've had a lot of customers in Australia and the Australian Football League, a very hotbed of analytics and sports science. And also in England as well with some of the EPL teams and things over there.
Okay.
And how many users would, using the prototypical, how many users at that organization, how often are they in the solution?
It really varies client to client, but I would say most pro teams you're looking at between 30 and 50 professionals logging in. And look, some clients choose to focus Smartabase initially on some smaller areas like medical or wellness monitoring or something, but we have quite a few customers who are running their entire sort of football operation end to end, and they'll have 50 or 60 professionals in there. And with those big sites like the AOS or Scottish Institute, you're talking 700-800 professionals and up to 10,000 athletes running in one system. So it's very scalable.
Cool.
Good.
Good.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.